Riding a motorcycle is fun and games until you forget to change your oil or your tires or your chains. To start, you have to understand that a motorcycle is much more different than a car and it's treated a lot more differently. The tires to start with are a lot different because they wear faster and the edges are made for turning, so you're using the entire wheel. They wear a lot faster, which means you have to change them a lot more frequently, which could be like maybe every year or even sooner. One problem with tires is since they wear, if you don't change them, you could get a bad case of speed wobble, which is a really bad thing and it can lead to death or a really serious injury. And here's an example of a guy who got speed wobbled. You can see he completely lost control and just went straight to the ground. And then one thing that I recommend is wear protection, because if you don't, you're going to get even more hurt. Next thing, point 2, is you have to change your oil more frequently than in a car. Maybe every 3,000 miles or 3,700 miles, but it depends on what kind of riding style you are. You could be a fast riding style, which means you have to change it even more frequently, which is maybe every 2,000 miles or even like more frequently. But if you're riding more casually, you could even change it every 5,000, 6,000 miles. And the place that I got that information from is elf.com. Another example of not changing your oil is if you don't change your oil, your engine could end up looking like this. And I doubt any of you want your engine looking like this because it probably won't run. My third point is keeping your motorcycle prepared for winter or summer. I recommend maintaining it and keeping an eye on it. In the summer, you have to be careful with the motorcycle. It will run usually perfectly fine, but if it's a really hot day, it might overheat. And as you can see here, his engine is smoking. And if it overheats, then you run into more problems like seals breaking in the engine. And if that happens, then you have to replace those, and it just leads to more and more problems. In the winter, it's even worse because if you leave your motorcycle outside, it can cause freezing inside the engine, and it can cause cracking within like the metal frame and inside the engine, and then by then you have to get a new motorcycle. My first step to keeping your motorcycle storage in the winter is keeping it in a garage, because if you keep it in a garage, it's kept away from snow, ice, and wind knocking it over or something. My second step is to put a cover on it because it keeps it warmer. It's like a blanket. And my third step is to keep a battery on the charger. You take the battery out of the motorcycle and you keep it on the charger so that it has some charge over winter while it's cold. And my fourth step is to keep a heater in the garage, not on like max electricity because you're just going to burn electricity, but just enough so that it's not freezing. And my final is to empty the gas tank because you do not want rusting inside of the gas tank, because if you do that, then the rust will get into the engine when you put new gas into it. After that, my final recap is my first point was to make sure you maintain your tires and to notice the difference between a car and a motorcycle. My second one was changing your oil and when to change it. My third one was to prepare for weather. That's the recap of my presentation. Thank you for watching and have a good day.